Welcome to Collaboration Conversations. I'm your host, Regina Partain Bergman, CEO of Bridgeport Strategy and co-founder of the CEO Holy Grail. I am delighted to bring to you another group of panelists and our guest co-host for this show. So please welcome my guest co-host, Stephanie Russell. Stephanie, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being our co-host today.
Thank you, Regina. I'm so happy to be here and to have these wonderful women on the show with us.
I can't wait to meet everybody and get to know everybody. So let's get this started. Stephanie, would you please share with us a bit about your journey, who you serve, and why it's important to you to do that?
Yeah, I launched Concierge Senior Care Management about 5 years ago. I've been a nurse for almost 25 years. And, I just recognized the need in the community when working with patients who are discharging back to their home from a skilled nursing facility or a hospital. And their needs had changed, right? So oftentimes they would end up right back in the hospital because they didn't have what they needed to age in place safely at home. So I put together a proprietary assessment. It's incredibly robust. And once I finish my assessment, I become that person that educates the family, the patient. I pull together all of the resources that they need. We discuss their financial situation. Some people can afford everything they need to age in place safely at home, but others have to work on a budget. And sometimes what we discover is that, there are community resources available to them, right, that they may be eligible for. And so we look at those things and help connect them to the resources to get those things in place so that they can get the care that they need. When aging in place is not a possibility, we also assist with placement. So we help the families find the right community where they can age in place with dignity, have great socialization opportunities, and get the round the clock care that they need. And most recently, the most exciting thing that I'm working on is I'm now launching nationally.
Nice.
So I've put together a program. It's a certification course for licensees that allows other healthcare professionals to become entrepreneurs and work with families in their community who need this assistance, the one-on-one hand-holding to get all of those resources for mom and dad, right? Most of them have a job. They have children. They have grandchildren. They have all these things going on, and it's very complex. And most people don't learn that until they're thrown into it, right? It's a crisis.
Yeah.
So that's the benefit to our clients and families. And I think that pretty much covers it. It's very exciting.
What a needed service. And yes, you talk about that sandwich generation of, getting caught between the children and the grandparents and the grandchildren, and so much responsibility falls on them. And to be able to have a resource like yours would be incredible for folks to navigate their way through those difficult times. So thank you for what you're doing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Regina. I love it.
Good. I can tell. And brilliant of you to license it out across the nation. Congratulations.
Thank you.
A very wise move. Excellent. Would you please, Stephanie, introduce each of our guests and have them share a bit about their journeys, who they serve, and why it's important to them?
Absolutely. I'd love to. So I handpicked these women.
I knew you did.
I sure did. I've known these women and I've referred my clients to them over the years. It's very important for me to have trusted referral partners, right? We have a lot of people in our community. We have a lot of businesses that we can refer to. But it matters to me that my clients are getting the absolute best. So I think I'll start with Stephanie Bivens. Stephanie, please tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and who you serve.
Sure. So I'm also one of the Stephanies on the podcast today. Thanks for the invitation, Stephanie Russell. I'm Stephanie Bivens, and I'm an attorney, and I'm the founder of the law practice Bivens and Associates. I've been practicing law for 28 years now, which is kind of hard to believe. And our focus is estate planning, probate, elder law, and special needs planning. So most people are familiar with estate planning. That involves the creation of wills, trusts, medical directives, powers of attorney. So we're really working with families on planning for themselves and also the legacy for those they care about ultimately. But in our elder law world and our special needs planning, we go a bit farther. So with elder law, I'm frequently working with the senior or their support family system and helping them understand the legal issues that are coming up as they age. And as Ms. Russell indicated, it's a host of issues. If you can't live independently any longer, where are you going to move? Who has the authority to sign legal documents, make medical decisions, handle financial matters if the elderly relative no longer can? And it's not enough to just be like, oh, this is my spouse, this is my mom, my dad, my grandma, my grandpa. I'm going to help them. You have to have the legal documents in place to do that. And if we don't, we end up in court. So we also do a lot of court-related work, kind of on the crisis side. So we do a lot of the planning, but we also do a lot of the fixing on the crisis side. And then we also do special needs planning. So we work with a lot of families who have children, grandchildren with autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, some other type of developmental disability, or perhaps an older adult who's had a brain injury of some kind. So I always joke, if it's a public benefit acronym, SSI, SSD, HUD, SNAP, I gotcha. We understand all the public benefits. And so we're just helping families walk through the path of life and helping plug in the legal solutions that they need to have the best outcomes. And so for me, collaborating with women like this is key because I can bring in the legal solutions, but there's lots of other things that this family is going to need to support them. And so we often collaborate and refer our clients to these other professionals as well, like the other Stephanies do.
Awesome. I can immediately think of people that especially the special needs area, where how important it would be for them to have that legal representation in place and be able to talk to somebody about the legal aspects of that.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, Stephanie, that you used the word crisis. Unfortunately, that's when we're trying to handle everything very quickly.
Yeah.
It's very important as I move forward to educate people of, just how important it is to take the time to put these things in place.
Yeah.
Because the worst time to handle it is when you're in a crisis. You need to be with your loved one. So definitely a focus moving forward. And I know Stephanie Bivens feels the same way about that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing, Stephanie. Let's move on to the next Stephanie Nesbitt. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do for work, and who you help.
And she might have gotten
Did she freeze?
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, we can hear you. We can hear. Keep going, Stephanie.
Sorry, Stephanie. Go ahead.
Oh, you can hear me. Awesome. Okay. Now I'm like echoing. Anyways, I'm Stephanie Nesbitt. Thank you for having me. And I am in the home care part of the senior industry. I've been doing this for almost 9 years. And it's crazy, but I love it. I remember doing an assessment with someone once, and I said, it's my passion in life. And the son said to me, you're boring. I'm sorry. So I said, okay, it's one of my passions. It's my primary job is to keep our seniors safe and thriving. And when I meet with families, I say safe so many times that I say, I know.
Oh, goodness. We lost her.
We lost her. Hopefully she'll be able to reconnect.
We'll pick her back up when she comes back. Go ahead, Stephanie.
We'll give her another shot. All right. Malia, let's go to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and the population that you serve.
My name is Malia Madrid, and I am the owner of Consider It Done Seniors. I'm a daily money manager and administrative assistant for seniors. And this all was very organic. In 2011, my grandmother slipped and broke her elbow. And so I had to move back in with my grandpa because he couldn't be left alone while she was recovering. And I became very sensitive to the needs of seniors. I was working with a financial planner who owned a tax practice, and I noticed it was harder for some of our aging clients to come in. And so I offered to go to their home to prepare their taxes. And after a couple of years of doing that, I noticed, oh my goodness, they haven't opened mail since I left last year. And so I offered to, after tax season, come back and file everything for them. And one of my clients, that's when I started filing stuff, is when I noticed that he was being frauded on his credit card because it was on auto pay. And so he didn't realize that he was buying Body by Jake for some kid in California for the last year and a half. And so Consider It Done Seniors was kind of born then. I had my son in 2017 and 2019. I decided I don't want to go back downtown. My background is in accounting. I don't want to have to work with small businesses anymore. I'd prefer to work with seniors. And so that's what I do. I handle the business of life for them. So I help connect them with their attorney, their financial planner, communicate with them, schedule maintenance for their home, or be there if something needs to be repaired so they don't have to deal with a handyman, set up budgets for them, help their family pay bills, or, let them know what's going on if they're out of state. So that's really what I do. And I love what I do. I started Consider It Done Seniors, and a lot of clients couldn't afford services. And so I created Malia's Mission. I'm the founder of a 501c3, where I am dedicated to helping seniors cut through red tape. And what that has meant for me is I've seen a lot of fraud and scams. I have to help fill out reports at Attorney General, Adult Protective Services, Secretary of State. And I am now on a mission to help get laws changed. One of my clients sadly committed suicide. He was involved in a romance scam. And even though I made reports with everybody and everyone knew what was happening, that this massage therapist shouldn't be on the deed to his house, there was nothing legally anybody could do. The laws are not in the favor of our seniors. And what I was told is that my client, even though he was 83 years old and lost his wife of 52 years, he was not vulnerable. And so I am on a mission. It's called the Golden Rule Movement because his name was David Golden. And I would like to expand the definition of what a vulnerable adult is. And so that's really my passion, is protecting our seniors and keeping them independent. They shouldn't have to be buyer beware on everything. The general public just shouldn't be allowed to rip them off. And so that's what I do. I'm very passionate about it. I love helping people. I love helping my seniors stay independent and helping their families who are overwhelmed or out of state. And I've worked with Stephanie. She just recently helped a family who needed assistance with their mother. They were out of state. It was an only child, and he had both of his parents were declining. And so it's very important for me to collaborate with all of you guys, not only in the senior community, but also outside of that, because everybody has to deal with the business of life and everybody has to get everything done. And so that's what I do. Malia with Consider It Done Seniors.
Love it. Love your mission.
Thank you, Malia. Yes, we did just work a challenging case together. And I was so impressed with your team. I mean, they just went above and beyond, more than family members sometimes do with clients that we work with. So thank you. I mean, really hats off. Amazing, amazing work that you and your team do.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel the same way about you. So thank you.
All right, Stephanie Nesbitt, let's give it another shot.
Welcome back.
Oh, I don't even know where I went. Off into the dark netherworld. Anyways, I'm with Home Matters Caregiving, and I keep hearing this word passion, and it's the way I feel. Very, very passionate about our seniors. And I'll try to make this brief. Our company, Home Matters Caregiving, did a deep dig into the MacArthur Foundation, which was a 10-year study on how to have our seniors successfully age in place. And we took what they said and came up with our care plan, if you will, called Purpose-Driven Care. And there's 5 components. One is to keep our seniors physically engaged. And I always say that doesn't mean walking a block or a mile. It means just getting up and moving every hour. Body in motion stays in motion. Another one is cognitively engaged. So whether that be puzzles or talking about what you used to do, uh, anything to keep the brain engaged as much as possible. The third piece is social engagement. So whether going down to Tai Chi class, if you're in assisted living, or staying connected through FaceTime or phone calls with friends and family so that you don't become isolated, because that is the worst thing for a senior, is to become isolated. The fourth piece is have a purpose. Have a purpose to get up in the morning. So did you used to volunteer? Is there a favorite charity? Do you want to make those tie blankets for the homeless or what have you? So have a purpose to get up in the morning. And then the fifth component is a bucket list. So maybe there was something that you always wanted to do, and maybe now with the help of a caregiver, if you don't have family, we can make that possible. We're not talking about, trips to Europe or whatever, but maybe a game to the Cardinals or a sporting event. So that is our purpose-driven care. I believe very strongly in it. And our company also is, I think, one, if not the only, home care company in the Valley that has technology. And this is AI technology. So, of course, that I'm not great technologically driven because I had such a hard time getting on. But our technology is amazing. And I have learned to install it within 15 minutes. Shocking. And it gives us incredible results. And through the use of AI, we can help predict, thus prevent hospital admissions or readmissions, any missed meds, lack of activity in the home, so that we can create a better plan of care for I call my people, for my people. So if they think they need morning care, but we sense that they're getting up to go to the bathroom several times during the night and sleeping all day, well, then you don't need daytime care. You need overnight care because you're at a fall risk. So happy to share that with anyone. I absolutely love it. And all of our clients, almost every client that we have, accepts it, except for those people who are worried about, the universe, like listening in, but no one really, it's not a big deal. And then the last thing that we have, I call it our sister company. It's called Stepping Up for Seniors. It is our nonprofit charity organization where we help those incomes or those seniors with low income or low resources. So we can connect them with social workers. It's for people who would rather turn on their AC than take their meds. So what can we do to help them do both, turn on their AC and get their meds? And that's called Stepping Up for Seniors. So that's basically it. And thank you all. I want to meet you all in person.
And you
Thank
will.
you, Stephanie.
Awesome.
So, Stephanie, you bring up people making choices, cooling their home in the summer or getting their medications. And unfortunately, we have a lot of senior citizens, not just here in Arizona, but all over the country, who face the same decisions, especially now. Things are much tighter for everyone. So it's unfortunate for people to choose medications that they need, or their groceries, or their electricity, right? It's really unfortunate. But I do want to touch on your technology because it's incredible. We don't know what's happening when no one's there. So this is such an incredible resource for families. Here in Arizona, we have a lot of families with children all over the United States. So I'll go to the home and do their assessment and take pictures, and then I'll schedule a Zoom with all 6 children. And we'll discuss everything, and I'll share those pictures with them. And to have that type of technology to help them get a better understanding of what's really needed, because they can't be here, but they want to be, right? It's just huge. So it's incredible.
Absolutely.
And it's included in our plan of care for anyone who wants that. So let's say the doctor thinks they need 24/7 care, but they can't afford it, or they don't want someone underfoot. I hear that all the time. We can still put this in and get a better snapshot of what's going on. and then we can communicate that with you guys or whomever is involved in their care to keep our seniors safe and thriving. I just keep going back to that.
Yeah, nobody wants to find someone in their home who's been on the floor for 3 days, unable to get up,
Yeah.
and no way to
Yeah.
call for help, which unfortunately
Right.
happens. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
All right. Elise, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you serve, and what you do. You've got a couple of things on your list.
I do. I'm just gonna keep it real, try and make it real sweet, short and sweet. So first, I am the proud owner of Lux Bar. It's an ice cream. It's just a little different than our seniors, but I will get to our seniors. My husband and I own a catering business where we do pop-ups throughout the valley. We do birthday parties, weddings, corporate events, assisted living. I just got off the phone with an assisted living. We were talking about placement, and we also do events there. So that's just something fun, something different, that it's a family owned business, and something that was able to provide a little bit more flexibility for myself and for my family. But I will say probably I would say last 2, 3 years, Stephanie, right? Like we've worked together. Yeah. So I've known Stephanie for quite some time, Stephanie Russell, because there's a couple of Stephanies here. I felt like, so yes, I've done this for quite some time. I've worked in the medical field pretty much all my life. I actually did my CNA in high school. And I will say I started at the spectrum of pediatrics. So I did that for quite some time. But most recently, I would say since 2017, when my mother fell ill, I started working with seniors shortly after that. Regardless of how much medical background I did have, um, and all the appointments I took her to and everything like that, it didn't matter. But no one pulled me aside and said, "Hey, you should really consider palliative, or you should really consider
Mm.
hospice." She ultimately had chronic illnesses, had lupus, rheumatoid arthritis. So again, that keyword passion, I think that's like the name of your podcast today, right? That keyword is going to be that passion that drives me, my why, my purpose. I never really loved seniors, and I think I was just very scared because I knew that was always going to be in my timeline of my mother, because she was really ill from a very young age, not able to put her pants on, just any of those things like that. And that is something I grew up as a caregiver my whole entire
Mm.
life. So I've seen it firsthand, and regardless of how much medical background I did have and personal experiences, and all the questions I asked and how compliant we were, no one pulled me aside. And it was really, really heartbreaking to me. So I ventured out. I've worked at many hospitals throughout the valley, either bedside, a lot of case management, behavioral health. But that's where I met Stephanie Russell, and we've kind of just kept in touch. And then when she started launching out her, venturing out and building her large growing business here, she said, "Hey, why don't you come along and run placement?" And I had worked placement, but I had been on the other side referring to people like myself. So I ventured out and I started doing placement. And that is something that's really, I'm passionate. I hate to be the echo back here again, but I'm very passionate about it, because I feel like, who I'm serving? I'm serving people like ourselves, those adult children that are trying to navigate their own families, but also those people that I feel like they're my parent. They're an extension of my family, and I feel very passionate about them in regards to keeping them safe, finding them the correct home, making sure they're aging safely, and that is the permanent home for them. We tour group homes, assisted living, memory care. I even work with some like low income housing. Um, that is huge in the valley. I will say, I'm sure it's nationwide, but people really need that, and it's a trustworthy, it's a hard place to navigate. It is not an easy task, but when you find the right home for your right client, I think it just brings me joy. And knowing that they're going to be safe, and they're going to age safely, and we're not going to have to worry, did we put mom in the right place? And then I'm also hand holding that client, just like how Malia said, we have people that are out of state and things of that sort. We hand hold a lot of those people. We get on Zoom, we get on these things, we do virtual tours. I go in, I take pictures, whatever the case is. Those are the things that I do personally, so that we are ensuring that this is the correct home for this client. And I ask all the medical questions, ensure that we're the correct home. It's not just the correct home for the client, but the, back and forth. What is the home needing as well? And sometimes I call on Steph and say, Steph, I need help. I'm on fire and I just need a little bit more support. And she definitely supports me in those things. So that's just something I do. And I look forward to continuing work with you ladies. And Stephanie Bivens, I've heard nothing but great things. Malia as well, everything like that. So thank you, ladies, for having me.
Awesome.
Thank you, Elise. You're the perfect person for this. You do have to be passionate to be good. Not everybody deserves or should be in senior care or working with pediatrics, right?
Very true.
Whatever it is, you have to love what you
Yeah.
do and be passionate about it. So thank you, Elise. Okay, last but not least, Suzanne, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and who you help.
Very good. And I'm not a Stephanie, but I do have the S in my name, so maybe that counts for something. But my name is Suzanne Soderberg, and I am with Benchmark Mortgage. And I originally started in the medical field, and then I kind of went into retail and kind of fell into mortgage. But it's been a passion of mine for the past 27 years, helping people of all types. But a couple of my things is I'm a certified divorce lending professional, so I collaborate in that field as well with attorneys and such, and helping divorcing clients. And one of the things is senior in the senior industry or the senior space as well. So I kind of got into that, but I wanted something unique to myself. And I kind of created, reverse mortgage has such a negative connotation to it. So I have created the saying of I specialize in senior equity access loans. So I like saying that, and I've been getting known as that. It's not known out there, but it's known in my little circle with you all here. And I love doing that. But as we know, they say 88% of seniors would rather age in place in the home that they've been in for the past 30, 40 years or so. A lot of times once they get into a facility, then their health could decline. So we want to keep them in their homes and aging in place safely. So keeping them in their home, and that's just what I want to do, is keep them in there and work with people like you. And if they don't have to go into a home, just keep them, or into a facility, to keep them in their home. And what I like to do is there's so many myths out there about reverse mortgages or senior equity access loans. Or I should say there's no myths about senior seals yet. So I just like to get the myths out of the way, like we're going to lose our house, or, I don't have anything left for my estate, my children, or anything like that. So I like to get those myths out of the way and help the family understand that they aren't your grandparents' reverse mortgage anymore. They're very different. There are so many consumer protections that have been put in place. So, if that's me. So many protections have been put in place that that's what I want to, get across to them, that those myths out there are nothing to be worried about. So just working with the senior industry has become a major passion of mine, and keeping them safe and aging in place.
Awesome. We could stop the show right here at this point and say we've added a ton of value. Right? This has been great, just learning everything that you're all doing. But let's tackle, in the few minutes that we have left, let's tackle a question. And so the question that I was thinking of as I was listening to you is, it's coming back to our sandwich generation. Okay. And many of them are lost in this role. How should they begin the collaborative process of taking care of those aging parents? What's a starting place for them? How can they educate themselves? How do they create a team like we see here? How does collaboration come
Stephanie
into
Russell.
that? Call Stephanie Russell. Okay, we're giving out your phone number, Stephanie.
I think everyone here on the panel has shared that they're offering those resources, but the singular point, like, where do I go to get all of that?
Yeah.
Generally, when I'm educating people on, okay, when you go to the hospital, they're going to give you some discharge paperwork and all these companies to call. And then you get home and you're overwhelmed, you're exhausted, and you didn't retain anything.
Right.
And you just want to rest. You're happy to be back in your own home.
Exactly.
And then when you kind of start putting pieces together one by one. But, if you've got a home health in there, they may not know the other resources that you need, or to even have that conversation with you.
Yeah.
I've spoken to some families, perhaps started a senior center. You can get some great resources there. But this is why I put this together, was to collaborate with businesses in the community. It took me 9 years to really put this together after being here in Arizona, because things are done so differently here than the other states that I lived in prior to moving. And I thought, wow, it took me, a registered nurse, in an executive leadership role, to realize we've got some issues. This is not easy to navigate. And where does someone go to get that? And that's what led me to doing this. I am currently I have a social media group, so we're really working on education on different platforms. But that takes a while to get that reach out, right? Unless you've got really deep pockets, because advertising is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But what I have found is the best way is to collaborate, to find those resources that are needed and find that ultimate resource, right? The best attorney, Stephanie Bivens. Malia Madrid, who's going to be able to come in and help with those tax services and other things that she offers, her foundation. Stephanie Nesbitt, the technology, so I just started putting all these things together. A lease with placement. How do they age in place safely if money's a concern and they're not eligible for assets? We need to talk to them about a reverse mortgage. And that's why I'm connected with Suzanne. As we move forward with this national program and bringing on licensees all over the United States with nursing CSCM, you will have that. And in fact, I was just going through my testimonies, and she's a doctor, and I had helped her and her family with her father. She lived out of town as well. And in her testimony, she said, I cannot believe this. I would have never known how to find this. Someone referred her to me. And then she followed up not long after that in an email and said, where can I find what you do in Minnesota? And I said, well, I'm working on that.
I'll have that for you soon.
That's what I have found, is that it is hard to find until you're working with someone who will connect you with those resources.
Yeah, Stephanie, if I can chime in on that.
Please.
Oftentimes what I see is the success of the family and the outcome for the patient almost universally depends on who the family connects with at the first point of contact. Because if they are meeting with me, I'm a certified elder law attorney by the National Elder Law Foundation. There's fewer than 600 of us. I've been doing this for 28 years now, right? I'm super connected in the senior industry service space. So when I'm meeting with clients like Stephanie Russell is, we're asking the whole story. And we're starting to pick apart, okay, well, I can help you with this, but I'm also hearing things that makes me think you need this other and that other, and here are the resources, and it's really interesting to me how many people I meet with that are like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known sooner. And I think, all of us in this collaboration are trying to avoid that. I wish I would have known sooner, because the better information and the better resources people are connected with directly impacts better outcomes, whether that's family not fighting, whether it's resources not being wasted, caregiving. My rule when I'm talking to clients about public benefits versus privately paying for long-term care is care comes first, money comes second in my world, and I think that's true of everybody on the call, but it is really hard if somebody doesn't drop in to this world and have really good resources that collaborate with other good community partners from the get-go, because otherwise they're just sort of adrift and they're not able to understand how to be proactive, and everything is a shock to them. You know, everything is a crisis. Every time something new happens, it's like, well, what now? Where, you know, yeah, you guys are all nodding your heads, right? I think it's the universal experience, unfortunately. So hopefully we're going to make a difference by collaborating and getting the message out.
Should my question really be then, excuse me, should my question really be, how do we get the rest of the people who do what you do to collaborate with one another? How do we change this whole world so that all service providers, sorry, are thinking in terms of collaboration and the whole package that these seniors need?
You know, I've thought about this many times, and in the medical community, the challenge is people constantly changing positions, people being hired in at beginning levels, right? So there's going to be a learning curve for them, and they're just trying to learn what they're supposed to do for the day so that they don't get in trouble. So they're missing some of those discharge opportunities, right, for levels of care that are necessary in the home. Even over the years, just collaborating with other people in the community, you know, people move on. They're changing their careers after 6 months to a year. So you're constantly really starting over. So again, I that's why I think it's so important to have a company like Concierge Senior Care Management with that one person who is not going anywhere. I own the company. So, you know, I want to make sure that my clients are taken care of. And anytime there's a new resource needed, when I think I have it all, I realize, okay, I need to add another resource, and I go find that. So I don't know. What do you think some of the challenges are? Malia, do you see anything out there?
Oh, I think it's education. A lot of it is education. Most people, like, we didn't know about placement agents probably about 9 years ago. When my grandfather finally needed to be placed, it was very difficult. We didn't even know this world existed until I started helping seniors. And I think a lot of it is not just collaborating within the senior industry, but also outside of that, because the general public needs to be aware that these are services that are out there. Because, like all the Stephanies have said, it's usually a time of crisis or panic when people are looking for these things. And unfortunately, because they're in a very vulnerable situation, they don't always get what they should. Their loved one doesn't always get the care that they need, and they don't always have the resources that they need because it's a panic and they're just trying to fix it. And so I think that if we can collaborate outside of senior services, we have a huge generation of baby boomers. They're very, very expansive. You have some baby boomers are retired and they're taking care of their parents that are still alive. I have a client right now whose husband has dementia, and so do both of her parents. And she's a grandmother, you know, and so I just feel it's very, very difficult. So the more that people talk about these services, the better it will be. I mean, we have a huge generation of seniors. They say by 2033, the number of seniors in Arizona is going to outnumber the children under 18 combined. And so we really need to start giving people or giving them access or making them aware of these resources so we can help this huge population of aging adults.
Yes, indeed. Ladies, anybody else have a comment they'd like to make on this? Elise, I see you smiling. Got a thought?
No, just that I feel like, as you said, as Malia just said, no, I just agree that people don't really know. Like, there's so many people like, I had no idea. And then I mentioned that to like somebody, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do that. And they're like, oh my gosh, I know somebody. I need that. Like, where were you like a couple years ago when we had a hard time? Or, you know, I had like I have like a really good friend that was just like, at least like, that is huge. And I wish that I knew you did that, or you did that at that time just to do that placement. It's because we become their ally so that they can lean on us. And like, Stephanie always says too, she's always like, we can be the bad people, right? Like if we have to remove them from the home, we say, well, let us tell you so that we can show the data and show you're no longer able to be at home. And like the wife doesn't have to continue to burden herself, but the children don't have to continue to make those appointments and the
Right.
coming in every time the house is on fire kind of thing. Let's do it at a calmly rate, and let's investigate what is the best option. There's so many options out there. It could be very overwhelming for anybody to try and dive into it. So I
Right.
think those are things that I find I like to just tell people I'm like a real estate agent for like seniors, right? Like you're over here asking, you're able to ask the educated questions because you're able to ask those things that are very, very important. But not only that, but to meet the family's needs. Just like you guys go in Zillow and you mark down those boxes and you say those things like that, you can have a really good real estate agent that can make or break a deal. Same kind of concept. And if you have the great backing, like all the Stephanies and everything like that, it makes such just an easier process because we have
Yeah.
those resources at our fingertips and we're not just doing it all alone. So I just think that's huge, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I agree with Malia that I think I'll say the obligation that I feel now after having done this and worked with thousands of families and watching them go through the good, bad, the ugly, right? Is I just know with better information, families always have better outcomes.
Yes.
It is just that simple. So, I know Stephanie Russell, I know a few of us, we're all on this mission now of using social media and other platforms, whether it's in-person presentations. Stephanie Russell and I have co-presented at a couple of things, dragged her out, made her do it. With me, we collaborate with each other when we get the opportunity to share and educate the public. And I think that's what we can be doing. So we're not only collaborating for our specific client who has all these other needs, but also just collaborating together like this to share information so that people like put that little nugget of information in the back of their head. And then when something happens to Uncle Eddie, we're like, oh yeah, there's people who can help me with this issue with my uncle. We don't have to struggle as much, right? So I think public education is going to be the key. Fortunately, the baby boomers are interested in being informed. A lot of them will go online, they will do their research. I think they're looking for it. We just have to provide them with the information.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the next challenge for all of you and everyone involved in this is how do we get the word out? How do we make sure across the globe that people know that these services are available and that you need more than just the home health nurse. You need, all of this in this aging process. We'll put it that way. Let's take just a quick comment from Stephanie Nesbitt and then from Suzanne, and then we're going to need to wrap up. So Stephanie, go ahead.
Nesbitt?
Yep, you.
Okay. This is going to probably come off a little weird, but it's what I do. I just lead with my heart. It's as simple as that. And I take care of any of my people that need anything. And it's my integrity and my reputation. And I have found more doors open and more people call. I heard about you from here, from whomever, and I'm a big connector, and I'm the first one. Elise, I introduced you to someone, and Stephanie, Suzanne, I introduced you to someone, and I just keep on connecting, and I just lead with my heart. That about sums it up, right, Stephanie Russell?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good. And Suzanne, a final thought from you?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, just like Malia and Stephanie said, it's all about education. And I know I deal with that in the divorce space with the collaborative, and it's just getting the word out and letting people know that, there's a whole team behind you with that. They all have a passion and they want to help in any way possible. So it's however we can get the word out regarding collaborating with each other, and like I said, having the whole team of senior centric businesses and people behind you is really where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ladies, we are out of time, and so we've got about 5 minutes left here. So let's, for our wrap up round, we're going to change it up just a little bit here so that we get everything in. But Stephanie, if you will run our wrap up round for us, and maybe just get 1 or 2 sentence thought from each person about their final thoughts on collaboration and their contact information. And while you do that, I'll put the contact information in the public comments for us. And we have somebody who has said, "Great mission, Malia," in the comments.
Thank you. Yay, thank you.
All right, Stephanie Russell.
All right, I'll just start here. I'll go around. Stephanie Bivens, I'll just start at the top and start with you.
All right. So in the interest of just sharing information, I will let everybody know bivenslaw.com is my firm's website. On our website, we have free legal information. That's right, free information from a lawyer. I know it's unheard of, but you just put your email in and you can download any of the resources off of our e-library. I personally crafted and curated all of that information, a lot of frequently asked questions, just so if people are intimidated, they don't have to schedule a consultation right away. You can at least get some good information and kind of get your footing before you contact us. If you're in Arizona, we'd be delighted to help. So I'll offer that to the audience.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. And I have read the information. It is incredible. And the fact that you're giving those resources out to people, I mean, thank you. That's amazing. It's unheard of. Elise, you want to give us your information so that people can find you?
Yeah, I've just added my link, my LinkedIn. You can always reach out and DM me that way. That just has my personal information and just kind of go from there. If you decide you need ice cream by any chance, because who doesn't leave ice cream? You can also find us on social media on our Instagram. I've linked that as well.
Thank you, Elise. All right, Malia.
Yeah, you can find out more information on our website. It's cidseniors.com. Or if you'd like to know more about our nonprofit, it's maliasmission.org. That's MALEAS mission.org. And you can contact me there, or you can call the office and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. But hopefully you guys reach out.
Thank you, Malia. Suzanne, how can people find you?
Well, people can find me on my website as well. It's suzannesoderberg.com. I also have LinkedIn that Regina is going to be putting in the public comments, but and then my phone number, I always have it on me. So I would love to answer any questions that anyone has for any of the reverse mortgages or senior equity access loans. So that's what I can do, and just reach out anytime.
Beautiful. Thank you, Suzanne. And Stephanie Nesbitt.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn under Stephanie Nesbitt. You can also check out our website, Home Matters Caregiving, as well as Stephanie Russell. I sent you a link. I'm not sure if you got it, for Stepping Up for Seniors.
I did.
So,
it's in there.
Okay. And anyone can call anytime. I am pretty much 24/7. So call anytime, text.
Awesome.
Thank you, Stephanie. And my contact info, seniorcareofaz.com, the business line 480-679-4219. We can be connected over the business phone, email. I am on LinkedIn and Facebook, which was shared as well.
Awesome. Fantastic. Just have one more to post. You ladies are amazing. I just want you to know how much I have enjoyed having you on the show today, and the information that you've provided, the work that you're doing. It's phenomenal. Please keep it up. There is a huge need, as you talked about the size of this generation, the baby boomers. I'm one of those. We and we're starting to get things in the, people trying to bring us into different levels of care. But there is a huge need, and I'm so grateful to see people collaborating to fulfill that need. I applaud each of you for what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to wrap it up. Folks, we appreciate you coming and watching whenever, wherever you're watching this. If you like what you're seeing, please like, comment, subscribe wherever you're at. And we'll see you next time on Collaboration Conversations. Bye for now.